Hello and welcome to Anything Goes. Another Sunday night with me and Jason. How are you, Jason?
So far, so good. I'm just having some weird technical things. My light won't turn on. My internet's being weird. It's one of those days, but I'm
Hmm.
still good. I'm
Yeah,
once we're done here, my great plans is to eat some chili and fold laundry.
nice,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I think there's a tiny bit of delay there, but hopefully it'll sort itself out. Um, I don't really want to go. Keep talking Bigfoot, don't we, all the time when there's so many other things we can talk about. But I just wanted to touch on last night a little bit because I felt there was like a little bit of tension in the chat,
Hmm.
in the live chat when we have guests on that are not, saying that they believe in Bigfoot. Not that they don't believe in it, but they're coming from a different angle, more of a scientific angle, more of a, trying to find real evidence, solid evidence, rather than the anecdotal, the witnesses, the tracks. And I think I just want everyone to know that I don't, I'm really careful about the people that I bring on here, the
Hmm.
guests. And I like to think that I have a good kind of sense of, feeling when I've got people on, like the good people. They're not here to ever insult everyone or anyone, or call anybody a liar. And it kind of upsets me a little bit that people get upset um, about just one person's opinion on the subject, because you have to remember those that have had an experience, especially at these face-to-face experiences with Sasquatch. There was a time before you had that experience. Maybe some of you never even believed in it, or maybe some of you had heard the stories but never really thought that this creature exists. So, there's still us people out there that have never experienced it. And so we are what
Hmm.
you were once at one point. And we've all got to, we have to listen to other people's opinions and things. And sometimes I think there's a reason why do we get triggered so quickly? Why do people annoy us? Why do people, there's someone and they get on your nerves? And once upon a time I might have blamed that. I mean, I'm still guilty of doing it. Once upon a time you might have blamed that person for annoying you. But what I've learned is that you have to ask yourself why you're getting upset about things, and why are you personally
Hmm.
feeling triggered about that? Because it's not that person, because that person's just like you. We've all got things that probably annoy people that we don't think we do, but we do. And yes, Max, insecurity maybe, or people feel threatened for some reason. You should never feel like that. No one's going to take anything from anybody. And that's kind of just what I'm trying to say, that there's no need to get upset because somebody thinks differently to you. And if it's annoying you, then maybe ask yourself why. Um, why does it make you react like that? Because
Hmm.
you have a choice about how you want to react. You can either get upset about something, or you can just think about it, and not react and just listen. And that's it, really. What do you think, Jason?
No, I would agree. I think this is one of those issues where, in fact, let me say this, and I think this is probably a better way for everyone to understand it. I don't believe in Bigfoot. I am, however, convinced that there's significant evidence to suggest that that this creature exists. But as I've asked many times, given what we see in the overall phenomena, I'm also not convinced that everyone who claims to have seen a Bigfoot is actually seeing a Bigfoot. There may be other things associated with this phenomena that we need to do a better job of dissecting. And I think the problem is people, it's like belief, that's a religious comment. I don't believe that there are beluga whales. I'm just convinced that there's significant evidence that there are beluga whales because there are people who've seen them and we've got bodies and da 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 da. It's like everything else. I've never held a wombat, but I know that I'm convinced that they exist. In the same way, I'm convinced that Bigfoot exists. Now, do we know what a Bigfoot is? No, right? Bigfoot, I don't know what it is, so I'm not going to say that but I'm convinced that there's significant evidence that it does exist, or that there is a phenomena at work here. And so, in the same way, I think a lot of people are wanting, I think a lot of people who are like, I don't believe. I think they want to know more. I think the problem is a lot of people are in this because they know that there is significant evidence to suggest this creature exists, and they're like, okay, I'm not convinced that it exists, but I want to pursue it. Right? There's got to be a reason people are seeing what they're seeing, and they're investigating. It doesn't mean that they have any ill intent. It just means that they are looking. And I think there's also, as we've discussed many times, a big divide in why certain people get into this pursuit, right? Or the pursuit of any cryptids. I'm not a Bigfooter per se. I mean, my encounter was with a pterodactyl, for crying out loud. Sorry, pterosaur. Just everyone loves pterodactyl. I'm like, I have a very different, I've always admitted my deal on this. I want to understand where all the cryptids fit, because I believe once we know that, we'll have a better understanding of the world in which we live. My Bigfoot, for me, whether it exists or not, whether this is some sort of spirit or not, like, none of that ultimately matters to what we find. For me, this is just one piece of a much larger puzzle for me. So I'm not as emotionally invested in what Bigfoot may be, but I think a lot of people are, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's a huge emotional investment, because for a lot of people, particularly those who have seen him, right, there is a trauma, because maybe you grew up not believing it existed, right? You believe like what everyone else told you. You believe what the universe looked like. And so to see a creature like that brings into everything that you believe. So for a lot of people, it's almost like a road to Damascus moment, right? And so there's a lot of emotion invested in there. And I think it's understandable. It's not a problem, but it does need to be something that we can understand and say, look, okay, you're emotionally invested in this. That doesn't mean that anyone who has some legitimate questions is attacking you. We have to be able to separate emotion from the mind. Emotions are good, but you can't let them control you.
No.
Unfortunately, a lot of people they get into this conversation and things get heated. And one of the comments was just, hey, maybe it's, some people, when they're having this conversation, they also aren't using the right language, or they do come off as sort of shushing off the eyewitnesses. And I've seen that where people are like, well, eyewitness accounts are crap. I'm sorry, that's just flat out wrong. I'm the first one to say eyewitness accounts, there are issues with them, absolutely, certainly, which is why you do a better investigation. But there are plenty of eyewitnesses who have very solid accounts. Just because someone saw something doesn't mean you scratch it off because, well, it's an eyewitness. You can't just remove that. And a lot of people absolutely do. They're like, I want something I can poke with a stick. They're like, let's just get rid of all these eyewitness accounts. They count for nothing. Well, that's also the wrong tack to take. And unfortunately, a lot of people who do have that sort of, who are like me, they're kind of looking for better evidence, scientific evidence. I do think they also dismiss eyewitness accounts far too readily, and that is a problem. Which causes the emotions to rise up. So again, it just goes back to, unfortunately, we just have to keep a civil tongue and maybe find better ways of expressing ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is the perception. Someone had said, "Oh, then that must mean doesn't believe in it. Every one of us is a liar." That was never said. I'd love that person to go back and find the timestamp when that was said, because that was never said. This is the reactions people have off one single comment without thinking about what people are saying. And I think things need to be broken down a little bit. Maybe it's not coming across well. Those people like Bill and Thomas and Leon, when they say they need to look at the data more, vet the data, the excellent example is recently with those tracks that were moose tracks. They went out there, they actually talked to the witnesses. They thought they saw something big on the side of the road. It turns out it was a moose. The tracks were the moose. They could, without Leon, those people could have walked away thinking they had a Sasquatch experience, right? And it could have been a bit different. They could have been on foot rather than driving, which could have been more scary. But the point was, it was put out there as the best tracks of 2020, best Sasquatch track. It's a load of rubbish. Those are the sort of encounters that we're talking about, not those face-to-face. People have seen them. I believe 100%. You know what you've seen. It's not going to be misidentification, but a misidentification of tracks, absolutely. That is possible. Of sounds, of, I'll use this one I use all the time. It's a terrible account for me. It's a terrible account. It's the guy who's running. He sees something move into the wood line, something big, and 3 months later, he hears a whistle. I mean, it's just the most ridiculous bits of information. What has a whistle got to do with something 3 months ago? These are rubbish accounts. If you want to class that as account, sorry, but that will get ripped out of my book and stuck on the fire. These are the ones that we need to sift through to get a better idea maybe of how many are actually out there, what activity is out there, and what's causing the activity. Those are the sort of accounts that need looking into more, not the ones where people say they've seen it, because, I'm pretty sure if you know what you've seen. And if you do know what you've seen, don't worry about what other people say. If you know in your 100% what you've seen, don't worry about what Joe Blogs down the road says if he doesn't believe it. Doesn't matter. He doesn't know. We don't know. So it's, it's a bit of give and take for those who know, who believe in it, and for those who don't. You've got to remember you were once there. You were once on the other side of never encountering these things and not having a clue, and, would find it hard to believe. So, it's just one of those. Yeah. It just, I just think, well, anyway, let's not go on about it. It is what it is. I hope people are just learning something from this, and that nobody's coming on here to belittle anyone or take anyone's experience from them. Some people don't want to know what this creature is, want to stay with it as it is. Some people want to know more about it. Some people want to find real answers. There's different ways of and different paths people are taking, but, we're all should be able to just do these together without there being any friction and anyone feeling like, they're under the spotlight, because, we should all just be friends here. And
the world is already hard enough. We don't need to make it harder.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my general. By the way, rooted expeditions. That's just making this worse. Don't even do it. Don't.
What's he saying? Which one?
What do you call two guys who hunt ghosts?
Two guys.
Paranormal guys.
Paranormal guys. It's a bit late for me. Sorry.
Yeah, it's terrible pun. Rooted expeditions. You should feel bad about yourself. Go to your room and think about what you've done.
Yeah, Zach. But press the like button before you go.
Yeah, press the like button.
And share this video.
Share the video.
Yeah. Can you mind
think about what you've done.
Noise? Yeah. If anyone can hear any strange noises, it's my dog. They suddenly decided that she wants to either go out or something. So I might.
My dog's been weird all week too, so I get it.
Yeah, I'm tired of the rubbish there, but how do we? We can't stop it. That's the thing. We have to just separate ourselves from it and not share this rubbish. Don't give this stuff a platform. If you see something rubbish, don't share it. Don't tell anyone about it.
You had somebody emailing you a couple months ago, things that were just known fakes.
Yeah.
And I mean, obvious, like that's from a movie. Okay, I'm the pterodactyl guy. I keep getting the same 3 or 4 pictures emailed to me all the time. Like, is this a real? No, it's it's not even from a movie. Like, how are you being this? It's from the show Freaky Links. Like, this is well documented. It's a model that they made. It's hanging at the Cryptozoology Museum in Maine that Lauren Coleman put. Like, we know this. Like, these are known. There's only 2 photos that I'm like, yeah, that's a thing. Like, that could be a thing. There was one video that I've always had some questions about. I've been trying to get a hold of the person who's believed to be the person who actually took the film to interview them. I haven't heard back, but outside of that, like the vast majority of things are known to be faked or they were misidentifications, whatever. But it's like we still have them. I'm going to stop right there because I'm about to say something that I probably shouldn't say on live air.
Oh, would it?
I'll talk about you. I'll talk about it off. It was a conversation I had recently with a gentleman who contacted me about some photos.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk later.
Right. Should we end the show now?
Nah, trust me, it's not worth. It's not worth stopping the show over. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh no, that's okay. That's all right. So yeah. So if anyone's got anything to add to that, I think I've said all I want to say on that. Let's just be a little bit more, patient and just listen. Just listen to what people have to say. Maybe they can teach you a few things. Maybe you can teach them a few things. But let's do it nicely and not always think that people are out to attack and get you.
And maybe they'll ask a question that you haven't asked that makes you think of something in a different way. And maybe that's a value. And maybe that's valuable. Maybe there's a question that you actually have in the back of your head that you don't know that you have. Right? I've had those where it's like until someone sort of says it, I'm like, that's the question I've been trying to ask. Right? Sometimes it's all it takes.
And I've said to you, and I've talked to my friends in England now and again about Bigfoot, and it's interesting to hear what they think because they haven't got a clue. And sometimes I make statements about Bigfoot because I'm just repeating things that I hear. I don't, and they go, "Well, how do you know?" And it makes me question what I believe. So it's good to have that. You need to get the old brain whizzed up a little. Not whizzed up. That would probably cause a lot of damage. Maybe just
Wait. What does that mean in British?
What? Whizzed up.
Whizzed up, yeah, because
it's not really a term. I've tried to think of.
I got you. No, cool. Just when you say whiz, what do you usually mean? Because it has some other it has multiple different connotations over here.
Oh, whiz.
Yeah. Was it?
Whiz can mean something going fast.
Okay, same here.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you got any more other terms that you think it might be used for?
Yeah, so fast. You can say like a whiz kid, meaning someone smart, or you're using the restroom.
Oh, whiz.
Oh,
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's usually more of a male term.
Male thing, yes, that's something I use.
Anyway, so I was just wondering, maybe this is one of those words where it's like, hold on, it means something significantly different to you than it would to us. Yeah,
but I used it and didn't really mean to use that word, so it's not even worth.
I understand. Just a random question. I like to ask random questions.
Think of a word because remember it's 20 past midnight, and it's just to give your brain a shake a little bit. I don't want to use that to change out. Think about what you're thinking. Think about what you're thinking all the time. Always question things, but apart from that, I thought it was really interesting. It was a good. That's right. Skeptical isn't a negative. It's helpful. Healthy skepticism.
Yes, healthy. Well, I'm a skeptic. I think this is now. I will say this: there is a difference between being a skeptic.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Quack quack. I will say that there is a difference between being a skeptic and being what I call a scofftic, right? Like, I'm a skeptic, but there are people like, nope, that's not real. It's never. That's not skepticism. That's being a scoffer. That is refusal to accept the reality around you. That's just all it is.
Don't think I've ever met anybody who doesn't believe. I've never had anybody on who does not believe. I mean, they wouldn't come on. This is another interesting thing. I mean, there might be the odd person out there who wants to argue it. But someone had said in the chat last night about why does Bill waste his time if he doesn't believe? And I'd said that to Thomas after, because he's been doing it for years and years. Yeah. Thomas, why are you still doing it if you've you've got to think they're not, they obviously think there's something enough out there to spend all this time doing it. So even though they say they don't believe it exists or they don't believe it, it's not about that. It's not like they're not out looking for a unicorn or Santa. They know they don't exist. I mean, all right, I don't know about the unicorn.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
How dare you? How
Oops,
dare you?
I'm sorry. Let's just stick with Santa. But yeah,
What?
Jason, which one is it? Which one is it? The unicorn or is it Santa? But my
Both.
point is,
No, okay, I'm kidding. Let's go.
believe is the wrong word.
I
It's
do
the
have
wrong word.
a unicorn, although I do have a unicorn story when you're done.
Okay, go on, go for it. I think I'm
Okay.
done.
Okay, yeah. I think we're all saying be nice. Let's all just be nice. Kindergarten, right? Just there's no reason to smack people around. Well, okay, maybe there is, but not on this show. Not on this show. Let's all just be respectful. Smack people around in your own time. So I am of the opinion that the myth of the unicorn really does come down to surviving lasmotheriums that were probably in Southeast Asia, around India, and there was a friend of mine was like, "Hey, did you see this?" And there was a stele that was put up in Nineveh, of all places. You can see it's in a museum, and they have these animals from kingdoms to the east were presented as gifts, right, to the king of Nineveh. One of them, and it's in a parade, so you can see like monkeys, and you can see all the things, everything's stylized, but you can tell what they are. One of them was what looked like a rhinoceros, but the horn was in the middle of the head. And you have to realize, okay, maybe they're not looking straight at it, but these things were presented to the king. They saw it. They knew what this thing looked like. And that's how they chose to represent it. And if you actually look up the original, like where the word unicorn actually comes from and the animals they're describing, they sound like a rhinoceros, but you can tell they're clearly not the Indian rhinoceros. There is the possibility that, now the problem is the unicorn doesn't look like what we Europeans think it looks like because of what they were doing and translating it from one language to another. They made it look like a horse, that was pretty. But if you really look at it, so yeah, I mean, there's really some interesting evidence for elasmotheriums to have existed up until a very recent time period. That being one of them. That's all. I'm done.
That's great. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Maybe we should do a show on. Maybe we should
Unicorns.
start looking for evidence.
Well, I would imagine they're probably all dead by this point.
Yeah.
I would argue a
People
lot
believe
of.
them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know anyone's come out with a sighting in 1,000 years. So
I guess that's a little bit too far to go back. I love being called an idiot when I see a hummingbird buzzing around close to the camera, but a prominent debunker seeing a Bigfoot doing incredible acrobats in a tree in the background. Yeah. Parallax of some sort. There's one recently, is there, with Les Stroud and his leaf, whatever it was behind him. Yeah, so I wasn't going to talk about Bigfoot tonight, but
here we are, 23 minutes in. 23 minutes of Bigfoot.
No way. That is ridiculous, isn't it? What else should we talk about then?
In the Middle Ages, beavers and puffins were considered fish.
Okay. Right.
I mean, there you go.
That's interesting. I didn't know about that either. We were talking about, I'm going to did you hear about this silly bill, this Bigfoot hunting bill that's been trying to...
Okay, so we're going to talk about this with actually tomorrow. We're
Okay.
going to. Well, no, I'm happy to talk about it tonight because I think there's actually. I've thought about it. I think there's more to this bill than people realize. Now, I may be giving people too much credit, but yeah, like we're going to talk about it tomorrow. But I'm really wanting to talk about this because I heard about it and it's like, okay, the guy admits it's about tourism, right? But if you stop and look at what he's actually suggesting, so. Give me 2 seconds here. We know the bill says
the face of it because of this. Beaver is delicious. They're cute though.
I've never eaten one. Nor have I even eaten. I've never eaten nutria, and they're supposed to be good. Anyway, so the thing is, you're supposed to capture them alive, unharmed, the whole 9 yards, right? But here's the thing that people sort of forget: in order for this to pass, they have to know to identify what it is. They have to be able. They have to declare it a known species, right? they have to declare it a real thing. If, as crazy as this seems from the outside, oftentimes what happens with laws and lawmakers is they'll do things that everyone focuses up here. They're not seeing it down here. For example, in Texas, there was a big fight a couple of years ago over what's called open carry. We've had concealed carry for a long time, meaning you can carry, if you have a license, you can carry a weapon on you, but it had to be hidden. What a lot of people didn't know is that the reason people were fighting for open carry wasn't to open carry. It was actually to protect holes in the law as it pertained to concealed carry. There was some wiggle room in the Texas law for concealed carry that actually had people arrested and thrown in jail for concealed carrying. But what happened was they would reach in to get their wallet, right, out of a pocket, and people would see the gun, you'd be arrested. And there were certain counties, I know everyone has this big idea that Texas is all one way. It's not. There's particularly around Austin, there, and in Houston, there are several counties that have very, very different views. And people were literally being persecuted for it. If they could see a bulge, whatever. People were going to jail over this. The open carry law was to actually prevent holes or to sort of cover people who were concealed carry. Most people want concealed carry versus open carry. But now that that's law, people who are concealed carry are more protected. In the same way, I have a sneaking suspicion that this law, we're focusing on the hunting aspect, right? But for this law to be passed, there would have to be hearings that would make Bigfoot.
Are you all right just for a minute? Because
go for
it. She wants some. What be sec?
Should I continue the conversation or wait for Danielle to get back? So much power. So much power. So I'll catch her up on the back end. There would have to be conversations, discussions, and evidence would actually have to be seen in front of committees and chambers that would be made public. So honestly, if I were in that position, a law like that would be a really good and sneaky way to bring attention to the actual evidence. Something that we've discussed here a lot, right? Is people seeing the actual real evidence. There is reason to believe that Bigfoot is real, or to at least accept the idea that this is a living, breathing creature, not just something out there. So I have a sneaking suspicion that this lawmaker is doing this in order to get Bigfoot evidence presented, because it would be if all of a sudden Oklahoma came out and said, look, we've looked at all this evidence and this is a real creature. It may not be that they're like, okay, we're not going to offer up hunting, but this is a real thing and we need to protect this creature, or we need to really look into it. So I as preposterous as the bill seems, I have a sneaking suspicion this is actually backdoor validation of this creature. And Danielle is not back yet. So what does anybody else want to talk about? We'll just say that when she comes back, we'll just say we moved on. Puffins as fish, because puffins, beaver, and a few other things were listed. Oh, you're back.
Sorry about that.
We've moved on. We finished that conversation. We're back on to puffins as fish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I think you froze up at some point. Someone was saying, but it didn't. It looked like that to me. Maybe when you were talking about that, I don't know. Oh, anyway, tell me more about the.
Well, so I'll sum it up this way: in order for what he's doing to work, there would have to be hearings brought before, and so they would have to declare it an actual species, right? It is entirely possible that what would happen is people would see this and be like, "Whoa, this is a real creature." Because someone could actually make the presentation. This is a real animal, or a real creature that does exist, and here's the evidence for it. It's public, it's undeniable, and Oklahoma could come out and say, "Look, we don't want this to be hunted. We need to protect it." So they may end up recognizing Bigfoot as a real creature with the real evidence. This is one of those things where we kind of have to sometimes remember you sometimes you got to play dirty in life, right, to get the attention that you want. So oftentimes bills will be labeled one thing and they mean something else entirely. A great example of this is the Texas Railroad Commission here in Texas. Do you know what the Texas Railroad Commission oversees in the state of Texas? Oil.
No. All right. Okay.
And of course the question is, well, why name it the Texas Railroad Commission? So you don't know it's about oil. Like
Right.
that's the real rule.
I mean, I
Yeah.
get it. I get it with this thing. What they're
Mhm.
doing, they're trying to bring tourism. They're trying to,
Mhm.
trap Bigfoot. Even if they do, they might believe it. They
Mhm.
know no one's going to be able to trap Bigfoot. It's 25 grand. They're going to keep in the bank, I reckon. Although it's what it invokes in other people. Those, a little bit out there that think, hey, we're on.
Mhm.
I want to do this. We've been trying to find Bigfoot, and
Yep.
the kind of those consequences after. It's not so much maybe that this will even get past, but it's just the domino effects of the public and what they. Oh, hey, looks like I've just come off a motorbike without a helmet.
It looks nice. It's okay.
Yes, that wild look.
Well, hey, some people they pay lots of money to have that windblown look.
This is why I just get out of bed look most of the time. I have made a bit of effort though before
Yeah.
tonight.
I just roll out of bed looking at this.
Yeah, actually do. They just throw.
Mhm.
I believe you, David. They won't. They won't. It's not going to happen. It's just like I say, the knock-on effect, and maybe those that hadn't taken it seriously before think, hey, there might be something in this. Maybe something in people who aren't reading between the lines and are seeing it exactly for what it is. There's a lot of people out there that need things saying in black and white. It can only go off things in black and white, and this
Yeah.
looks quite black and white to some folks. So I don't know. It's 6th of February, I think, is when it goes when it gets heard.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. So I keep seeing questions about Brown Springs. No one saw anything this last week or this last time we were out there. I think we talked about it last week as well. We didn't see anything. In fact, we went home early. Now, the reason we went home early, and this is a great story, is they found out because the cops pulled up while I was tending the fire. I'm off by myself, but I was fine. I was actually trying to act as bait. When they went up to the cemetery, some police pulled up and told them that they were looking for witches that were out there sacrificing chickens. And so, let's face it, are all witches bad? Of course not. Certainly not. But if you're out there in the middle of the night sacrificing chickens, you ain't Glinda either. But then, which we're fine with. I'm armed. They're fine. I mean, I'm cool. But then they were told that. So we found out that the Tiger King's ranch is literally 2 miles from where we are, and that they had been getting reports of loose exotic cats. So and of course, they're all off having this conversation. I'm back at the fire, not knowing any of this, right? But I will say this, it does seem like I lost time, like 15, maybe 20 minutes. But I'm just going to chalk it up to sleeping. Maybe I fell asleep. But there was a point where I just flat out said, I don't feel safe anymore. I need to have my gun on me. Right. So I was getting my gun when they came back and they're like, so this is what's going on. So we hightailed it out of there. I will say this, though. Tex, while we were talking about it later, Tex has told this story for a while about an encounter he had, I think it was last year, maybe year before last, where he was going up middle of the night to the cemetery because that's what you do. And he has on his pocket recorder, right, the sounds of growls. And there's one point you can even hear him on the recording saying, man, I'm hearing some sounds like a moan, but it's weird. It's almost like a purr. And of course, he gets up to the cemetery and he catches eye shine. He's like, man, it had to be a Sasquatch because they were like the size of silver dollars and they were like 8 inches apart. Like there's nothing native that would have that kind of eye shine. And it was like 3 feet up, and then it started to stand up. So he's like, man, I got out of there as fast as I could because I thought maybe I had completely hacked it off. And I stopped and I'm like, Tex, you know what has eyes 8 inches apart, purrs, and likes to get crouched down real low, right? And he goes, oh, yeah. I think I got luckier than I realized. That was like he has been saying that was a Bigfoot encounter. It's like, no, you survived a tiger encounter. Congratulations.
It's interesting, isn't it? I wonder how many other people
Mm-hmm.
have had something very close to them they may have thought was a Sasquatch. And
well, it's like we have gray kangaroos down south here in Texas. They're loose. They were some dude had a pair. He was going to bring them. These are the tall ones, right? The gray kangaroos. And he built this fence like I think it was like 8 to 10 feet tall, and they jumped it first night, and they are just out there. We had a friend actually who was telling us the stories. Like he was driving down the road going back to his farm, and he thought he saw a guy hanging out by one of his hay bales, and he's like, "What in the world is some guy doing?" Hold on. Okay. Well, there you go. African lioness. Okay, then. Yeah, those are. They're not. They don't like to be petted. So anyway, he's driving his truck. He sees one of the big brown hay bales, right? Because he just finished baling it. He sees what he thinks is some guy out in his field, and he gets out of his truck and he is like, "Hey, who are you? What are you doing out here?" And the thing stands up and it's taller than the hay bales. So he's freaking out until it hops away, and he's like, "Why is there a kangaroo in my Texas field?" So, I mean, like there are exotic animals out there. We got to start taking these things into account now as well. It's like it's not native. It's not supposed to be here. Well, congratulations. It doesn't mean somebody didn't put them on a ranch and have it escape.
yeah, the same here. You know, we shouldn't have big cats here, but we do. People kept them as pets, and things escape zoos. We've got, you know.
Well,
So
in the 60s, y'all were like, "Hey, no more big cats." And everyone's like, "All right, bye, Fluffy," and just let them run out. Actually, that's why we have emus now too.
this is when laws came in. You know, it created problems for people, licensing and enclosures and stuff like that. And so there's no wonder that there's, you know, we have hundreds and hundreds, thousands of big cat sightings regularly. Not thousands regularly, but we have regular sightings.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, I think what I encountered was a big cat. I mean, there's absolutely nothing else I can put it down to. It's just a very weird experience. The only thing about that is that my dog's never reacted at all, which really made me question that I was actually hearing it. But well, I didn't hear it once. I heard it several times as I was walking down that track. So that's a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah. I got nothing for you. I mean, I would assume the dog would be freaking out, but maybe it wouldn't.
Yeah, just not picking up on it, walking in front of me, happy as Larry, and I'm waiting for the you know, suddenly the ears going up, but there was nothing. So I don't know.
Hold on, Patrick. Yes, we would.
What's that?
Barbecue Roo burgers.
Barbecue. Oh, I've had kangaroo.
Really? How are they?
In Australia. Had fillet. Amazing. Had it twice.
Really?
One after the other. It was that good.
What is it? What do they taste like?
Like fillet steak, like beef.
Really?
To me, it was really nice. Maybe not beefy, but red meat. You know, very tender, tasty as heck.
Okay. Well, I'm all for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
What else? Try to think what else I had over there or what else I've eaten that I wouldn't have over here. So I'm trying to read and talk at the
Yeah,
same.
and it's kind of hard, isn't it?
It's really hard. It's really hard when you try to keep something flowing and trying to read something. I just wanted to go back on to this one, Ruger, about the one. The only way to trap something like that would be a hole, and then how could you guarantee what's going to fall down that hole? And imagine you just falling down that hole when you've made it.
Exactly. Well,
Or
and
you
here's
dug
the
it and you
thing.
can't get out.
Well, okay. Actually, I'm gonna stick up for this. There may be a method that we are unfamiliar with, and I think this goes back to something we've said for a while now. We clearly have no clue what the hell we're doing, or if we did, we'd have something by now, but we don't. So maybe what we need is some Yahoo who's like, you know what? I work on cars, but you know what? How would I catch something like this? And he's going to come up with some weird idea that nobody's come up with. And because a lot of us who are thinking about this, we're looking at animal traps. This thing is clearly smart enough not to fall for a basic animal trap. So somebody's gonna come up with something that is so far beyond what we're used to that we're gonna be like, why would that work? But it would. I mean, I think that's the biggest problem here is we get so trapped within an idea that we can't leave it. Right. And the thing is, what moves us forward is when that person who's not trapped within that idea, within that construct, has an idea. And the problem is everyone within the idea, within the construct's like, that's a stupid thing. And then they're proven to be right. I mean, I obviously Albert Einstein is the greatest example of this. But it doesn't matter. Look throughout the history of the world. There's all kinds of inventions and ideas that everyone just rejects out of hand, but eventually becomes, sort of the new, that's the thing. Because the problem is, as humans, we get trapped within that paradigm. I mispronounced that deliberately.
Paradigm.
The paradigm, right? We get trapped
Paradigm.
within that paradigm, and then we're like, well, we're in the box. What do you want us to do? And someone has to come and break us out of the box.
Yeah.
Step away from the box.
And
Free your mind.
we're talking about traps.
But we're talking about traps. We got to break the paradigm
trap
so we can
ourselves
get out of the box to put
about-
Bigfoot in the box. Exactly.
Yeah. This is why it's so difficult, isn't it? So many
Yep.
steps to go through. Sorry, I'm doing the same thing again. I'm actually tired this weekend. I do feel like I've had a long dig a large hole, put green peas around it when it comes for a pea kicking in the hole. I mean, that's this kind of thing we're talking about, isn't it? Get someone from out of who doesn't. Do you fix cars, Strangeland? You might do.
Gene Hudson has a point, and this is my first point. When I first heard this whole thing, I'm like, this is going to end badly, right?
Yes.
But I will say this: there is nothing stopping this from ending badly right now.
True.
So I think that's also one thing we need to remember is, hey, yeah, it looks like this would go badly, but at the same time, it's not like people aren't out there looking for Bigfoot to make money anyway.
But when you've got a politician on the telly going, hey, we were looking to do a, Bigfoot hunt, then it gives it more credibility in a way.
It does.
Or it goes, appeals to those people who never took it seriously, thinking, hey, he's 25 grand on this.
Which is why, but that's the thing is, it may also appeal to people who may not have necessarily taken it seriously, but they may be serious people, right? I mean, that's the problem with any idea, no matter what it is always comes down to chance, right? I mean, someone has to put something forward to move this forward. I mean, that's just it. So, I do I wish that this was the way that they're going to go about doing it? No, I think this is a terrible idea. I think it's going to end badly. That's my official opinion on it. Do I think it's as stupid as a lot of people have instinctively thought it was? I don't think it's as instinctively stupid as we think. But now I want to eat kangaroo. Actually, they do sell kangaroo jerky at a place down the street from me.
You need to try, the jerky's a bit different, isn't it?
It is. That's my thought, though. I want
don't
real
ruin the jerky. Go for the real thing. Jamie, I don't even think I can leave my county at the moment. I can't even leave my county at the
Nope, you're all
moment.
locked down. You're in
We're
a bad
locked
episode
down.
of The Prisoner.
We could be on lockdown till June, July. There's
That's
been a
nuts.
new law passed where they can keep the restaurants and shops shut till the 27th of July. So, yeah, can't see me going anywhere this year at the moment. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Any other ideas about traps or not traps? I mean, I can't see it happening. Even if you get one in a trap, but then what? You know, you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah, I mean, this is not. The thing about a trap is you'd have to be okay. So I will say this: if you did capture one, you would have to have like 20 cameras going immediately. You'd want to probably tranquilize it, and once it was passive enough, get a large blood sample, get some hair samples, and then probably get out of there as fast as you possibly can because its friends are coming. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, if we could have solid video and photo evidence with blood, and again, you get photos of the feet, show the flexibility, things like that, show the face. If you can extract enough blood and get some hair, so we can actually know what their hair really does look like. That's sort of the problem is we have anomalous hairs, but we don't know what to do with them. You have to have a type to say, okay, this is something we're looking at. Then we'll know some stuff, right? But again, the problem is to keep it alive, and I don't think you keep one of these things alive in captivity for very long. But that having been said, something we often completely look over in the Bigfoot, we're back to Bigfoot, is
Oh, jeez.
I tried. You brought it back. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. I
Don't
tried.
blame me. I'm just
Unicorns, beavers being
sitting here
fish, puffins
doing
being
my hair.
kangaroos, tigers. I have brought so many things to the table, and you're like, but what about Bigfoot? Don't look at me. We're going here. We're going all the way. There was
We're in now.
yeah, we're here. Yeah, there was a gorilla captured in the wild here in America in the late 1800s. I think it was called Jocko. It was believed to be an infant, but it was fairly tall. There were a lot of drawings made of it at the time, but they talked about it whistling at night, and eventually the poor thing died. So it was found. It was basically near death anyway when they originally found it. It looked like it had fallen off a cliff. It was found by some people working the railroad. So they theoretically one has been captured already. The problem is it was late 1800s and they didn't do science the way we do it now. So they just went on tour for a while, because that's what they did. So maybe here's the bigger problem. Maybe the problem is these things are a lot easier to capture than we think, but we're just going about it the wrong way. Maybe our assumptions are wrong about these things. Like I said, somebody could come up with something like, hey, you know what? Instead of building a cage, why don't we just have some sort of, drugged apple? You just Snow White them, right? Just they're like, oh, hey, here's the good apple. Oh, I'm going to go to sleep now. We don't know.
Yeah, but that's making sure that Bigfoot eats the apple, isn't it? I mean, apart from giving it to him personally or she.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe you get out there, you put on some furs and be like, bow, chicka, wow, wow. And then you roofie them. Just saying.
Yeah. And then get shot by another Bigfoot hunter or, fall into a Bigfoot trap.
Sacrifices must be made.
You're right.
There is no victory without sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. Just to break up the Bigfoot chat, I've got dual nationality, Mark. So maybe you might let Italians in. I mean, who knows? Hey, yeah. I think that's probably going to end. No, it won't end. It can't end. I've got dual nationality. Whatever happens, it's not my fault.
Oh, this is all about the Great Reset anyway. It's all it's over. This whole thing is the greatest transfer of wealth from the middle class to the upper echelon that's ever happened in the history of the planet. That's all this is. There is no getting out of this.
No, it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty messed up. Oh, hello, Justin. Mountain Beast Mysteries. I enjoyed your last chat, your last video. I'm sorry, I can't remember which one it's called, but it's second to last one you put out. It's very interesting about why we believe stuff. I was kind of going down that route not long
Thank
ago.
you, Susan Chrisman. I was seeing the same thing. Mecha Bigfoot, right? Mecha Bigfoot
Mecca
out there.
Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm. Just
Right.
saying. Hey, maybe you can have a little shake, a little wobble. So the male Bigfoot's like, I like what I'm seeing there. Just
Yeah.
saying. Then taser kiss.
Taser. I
Mm-hmm.
can't see that. A tranquilizer, just going back to tranquilizers, you don't know what sort of skin they have. So you wouldn't know what sort of needle to use. I'm
Biggest
not an expert
possible.
in this, but I spoke to Larry Batson,
Mm-hmm.
who knows about his animals, and he was saying it would be weight, skin density, needle type.
Oh yeah.
And then what? Stick some
Well,
handcuffs on it and drag it out. I mean, how would you move something that big? I don't know.
um, I don't know, but you know what? We're not going to know until somebody tries it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, tranquilizers.
Bazooka needle.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, we have tranquilizers for grizzlies. Why? I mean, that should be sufficient. They're similar size and weight. And you know what? Again, the problem is like, well, if you give them the wrong dosage, they could die. Okay, well, that's a terrible, terrible thing. But you'd still have a Bigfoot. I mean, it's. I think I mean, the simple fact of the matter is whether we like it or not. Until one gets hit by a car or something, we need a body. So I'm all for Mecca. For Mecca Bigfoot out there, shaking her little badunkadunk, and then with the taser kiss, boom, then you repel in from your helicopters, and then do what you got to do and get out of there before it wakes up. That's all I'm for. But the world's bigger than I am.
Yeah, I mean, go
As
on.
far as someone asked about pterosaurs in Upper Michigan, I don't know if it's Upper Michigan, but I do have an account of pterosaurs in and around that area. Absolutely, in Michigan, yeah, absolutely.
Meredith, I think it's just portals at the moment. Anyone's got one, want to try it out? I'm up for it. It could be interesting.
You could try swimming.
Yeah, no, it'd take me a while though, wouldn't it?
It would.
I get my hair wet.
Yeah. Well, you can wear a cap though.
You could wear a cap. Yeah.
You could say you're doing a Thor Heyerdahl experiment and just be like,
it's a long way. It's a bit of a long way though, isn't it? And we could stop off at Ireland and then, swim for another 2 months to America. I don't know how long that takes. Anyone ever done that? I mean, I don't think anyone's ever done that, but how far has the furthest swimmer swum?
Hold on.
That makes sense.
Well, I know it's like a stupid amount. Like it really is.
Yeah,
hold on, because I heard this. This has actually happened. It's a stupidly long number. It's like open ocean swimming or something like that. Hold on.
I know someone's swum from England to France, but I'm guessing I think that's 21 miles. But I'd love to know what the longest swim was.
Longest distance ocean swim without flippers was Veljko Rogoskic of Croatia, who swam the Adriatic Sea 139.8 miles or 225 kilometers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a distance. Well, it's a distance.
That's a lot of swimming.
Yeah. That'll have been a few days.
Yeah.
Must have been.
Yeah, because like most people can only travel like 20 miles a day on land.
I'm trying to think 21 miles from Calais, Dover to Calais, wherever it was a good, 12, 15 hours or something like that, I think. So,
hold on. It would happen. Yeah, 2006. You have to be more than 8. You have to be more than 16 to try out for this one, according to Guinness. They won't do anyone less than 16. Hold on, and both Italy from 50 hours 10 minutes. So there you go. I did not know that was a thing. So yeah, there you go. 225 kilometers, 50 hours.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I think that's worth ending on because I ain't gotten anything better than that.
Daniela, I noticed Bigfoot Odyssey posted a video at the same time that you were streaming the other day. Are you competing with them now? Well, I didn't post a video while they were streaming one, so why would I be competing? It does not make sense. Bigfoot, YouTube's a huge platform. I mean, there is space for absolutely everybody here.
Mm-hmm.
And to think that we have to worry about stepping on people's toes, or we can stream whenever we want to stream. And the beauty of YouTube is you can come back and watch it whenever you want. You don't need to have people watching it right at the time that you're streaming. So we're not competing. I do the researchers report for the last 2 years on BIGFOOT Odyssey. So how can I be competing against a channel that's got like 25,000 more subs than me? But no, I'm not. So, Jason, what have you got going on? What are you covering this week on Texas? There's a lot going on Texas channel at the moment.
Yeah, there is.
Really bumped up the content and the stuff that's going out there.
There is, and of course, my stuff is coming. I just got to get some other things done first, and we'll be having my extra content coming in a few months. Tomorrow we've got the lovely Shelly Covington, Montana. We're going to come on. She's going to come on and talk to us about what to bring into the field. What are the things she like? Everyone's like, well, how do we find them? Like, well, what do you do if you do find them, right? If you find evidence, what do you need to have on you? So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk more about the Oklahoma politician. And oh, well, there it is. So yeah, there's going to be a lot to talk about. We've also got a new show on Thursdays. Tex and Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and during the day they have they have brunch with Bigfoot. So they had their first episode last week. That was a lot of fun. So we got stuff coming up, and Tex has been upping the sort of pre-recorded not conversations, but stories that people have of their encounters, right? Relaying how these things occurred. He's got several up right now that were his encounters, a few others. Everyone should go take a listen to them.
Yeah, I've just posted the link to Tex's channel in the live chat. I've just done it twice now. So go and check out anyone who wants to go and check them out. Go and check them out and have a look. We've actually got Shelley coming on the Bigfoot Cafe.
Oh, excellent.
On Saturday. So that's going to be interesting. I've listened to her on your shows because she's a bit of a regular, I think, isn't she? She's
become a regular. I love her to death. I've known her for years. She's a great researcher. She's one of those people who's really trying to step up and push towards those things.
Yeah. Meredith, we're almost the same. Heinz 57 is the full mix. Lucky's saying, thank you, darling, you rock.
Well, you do.
I think it's to you, that.
Well, that's probably true, too.
I think that's to you. So, yeah, we'll be back here. I'm going to be on the Researchers Report on Wednesday. And then I'll be back here on Saturday with the Bigfoot Cafe. And then the after show after that with some new faces, hopefully, as guests. Jason, you're doing the Bible study, and
on Thursdays.
You've got all your bits and pieces done that you needed to get done, whenever that was.
Yes.
Oh, good.
We'll say yes on that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, you're going to tell me about pictures after the show. Thanks everyone. Thanks for turning up and watching and your comments. And I'm sorry if I missed anybody's. I'm tired tonight. I can probably see that in the way that I'm like slowing down. But I'm going to see you all in the week. I hope everyone has a great week. And until the next time, good night.